kiss for you.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily, and today we're going to be doing a story time about my ex-boyfriend, psycho ex-girlfriend. So, let's dive right into it. A few years after high school, I would think a few years, roughly, I met this guy, and we are going to call him Dave. And Dave had an ex-girlfriend, and we are going to call her Vicky. Dave and Vicky had been separated for a good year. And when Dave and I met, he, made sure to let me know that he has an ex-girlfriend who has a few screws loose, was the term he used. I didn't think much of it, mostly because I think everyone to some degree has that ex that just will not disappear. But it felt like she got in touch with him, I swear, every other day, and he would always ignore it. There was no reason for her to keep in touch with him. They had been broken up, as I said, for over a year. He had moved on, and we had started dating. Now, this is where I wish I just would have told myself to turn around and walk away. He didn't do anything wrong, per se, but this was a cabbage patch of shit I was not prepared for. Back then, social media was just starting to become an everyman thing. Everybody still had a MySpace, and everybody started to get a Facebook, and he really liked to post pictures of us to his Facebook. In retrospect, when you have a fucking crazy ex-girlfriend, not such a great idea, because she's monitoring your every move, and obviously, social media makes that so much easier. So we were hanging out one night, and he had somehow cued her into our whereabouts, or that we were hanging out, and he gets a call from her telling him that she is going to kill herself. And in her suicide letter, she is going to write that it is all his fault. So he panics, as any fucking normal human being would, drops me off at home, goes to her house. I don't hear from him until the next morning. Now, he informed me, before I continue on, when he arrived, she was wearing kind of like a sexy bedtime outfit, and let me just explain. You girls know exactly what I mean. When a guy's gonna spend the night at your house for the first time, you wear like a crop top, you comb your hair up and do it in kind of a cute bun, you leave like residual makeup on your face, you take your sweatpants and roll them down so a little bit of skin is showing, like that. When he said that, I already knew what he was talking about. He got there, she was wearing that, she was in tears, and get this bitch took 7 Advil. That is literally one more Advil than the daily recommended fucking dose. That's not going to kill you. No one thinks that is going to kill you. It'll give you indigestion, because you gotta fucking take it with food, but it's not going to kill you. Why it bothers me so much, and again, who am I to say if she was serious or not, but why it bothers me if she wasn't, is because suicide is such a fucking serious thing, and if you are using it to trap someone, you are a psychopath, and you are part of the fucking problem. So after he blesses her with the knowledge that 7 Advil is not going to kill you, he told me that her emotions immediately switched from despair to, oh, totally fine, but you should stay the night, just in case, I'm not okay in the morning. Obviously he doesn't. She sobs, begs him to stay, and then tries to seduce him. He pushes her off, and he leaves. And he's the kind of guy that sweeps stuff under the rug, and he's like, look, that's what happened, but let's just forget about it and move on with our lives. Wrong, bitch! You really think she's just gonna let us fucking move on with our lives after everything that's just happened? Have you been paying attention at all through this entire ordeal? No? No, you haven't? Okay, yeah, you're a fucking moron. I should have left you when I had the chance, but I digress because that is aside the point. After this whole problem, this girl starts harassing me on Facebook. She created 4 accounts, mind you, with her picture on all 4 accounts, but different names. Smart girl. All, pumping out those really generic mean girl comments. You're fat, you're ugly, I'm so much prettier than you, he'll never love you, blah, 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 whatever. And this goes on for about a month. And finally, I sit him down and I say, you need to tell this girl off or threaten a restraining order or something, because she's nuts. So he does. He calls her up, says, if you don't stop, I am going to file a restraining order to get your fucking ass off mine. So she, of course, bawls and says, well, then here's another pet peeve of mine. She says, well, then I'm going to say that you raped me. Again, that didn't happen, as far as I know. And allegations like that are incredibly serious. And again, if you fake these, you are part of the fucking problem. So that happens, and that sucks. But let's move on. We are at his house watching a movie, and I am spending the night there. And again, thought he would have learned, posts that we are hanging out together. This is about 3 days after the phone call. We get a knock at the door at 1:30 at night, and we both look at each other, and we just know. We just fucking know. Like, that look of despair in our eyes. He gets up, I'm like, don't answer the door. And he's like, well, what if it's like an emergency? What if somebody's car broke down? Bitch, you know who's at the door. Don't fucking answer it. He answers the door. I, instinctively hide from this woman. Now, before I go on, I just want to say one thing. I have really good upper body strength. I have a large upper body. I have broad shoulders. I have a very swimmers-esque body. When I was young, I knocked a tool out of the doctor's hand after I was born. And he told my parents, this little girl is going to have good upper body strength. I used to do competitive kickboxing as a way to work out and let off steam. I have a really good right hook. I know what I'm doing when it comes to throwing punches. As if that wasn't foreshadowing enough. This girl is a hot mess at the door. She's dressed in like a clubbing outfit. She's holding her shoes. Mascara is running down her face. The absolute definition of a hot mess. And I shit you not, this girl sees me out of the corner of her eye, and she goes from sobbing on the floor, let me in, to fucking lunging at me like a fucking crouching tiger, hidden dragon ninja bitch. And keep in mind, I'm small. Aside from my upper body, I'm about a 5'1", I'm about 100 pounds, I'm not very big. This girl has got an entire weight class or two on me, and she just knocks me flat on my ass, just attacks me. Now, I kind of remember this going in slow motion, so I don't really remember exactly what happened. I just remember a lot of rattling. I somehow get her off me. She steps back and goes to attack me again, and my reflexes respond, and I crack this bitch in the face with my right hook, which is nasty. You hear this literal crack. She falls on her back. She's a mess. I can see up her skirt, and she just starts sobbing and screaming and wailing and pointing at me and saying, what a bitch, how dare you, tells Dave, look I told you she was trouble, she's bleeding like crazy. He gets her a towel, and she's, talking, if I would have done this, if I would have had this, I would have kicked your ass, and she's like slinking out of the apartment. It was awesome. And I don't condone violence, but what the fuck do you expect? I was defending myself. Now, we go to bed, and I shit you not, she comes back at 4 o'clock with her friends. Obviously, we don't answer the door. I'm running out of time. And that's how I had to deal with the crazy psycho ex-girlfriend. I left him. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And about a year after I left him, I found out through the grapevine that they got back together, and she got pregnant, and now he's trying to leave, but she's pregnant, and I don't know. I don't fucking know. But the moral of this story is, 1, don't be an asshole. If somebody leaves you, there's a reason. And this also goes for why I left him. He clearly went back to her eventually. That's so poisonous. Please, be careful with who you involve yourself with, because you never know what's gonna get you into a hole that you cannot dig yourself out of. Don't get too emotionally invested in poisonous people. That's the moral of the story of how I cracked a bitch in the face. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend fighting unless it's absolutely necessary. Actually, I think that's kind of it. Yeah, I guess that's it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Not my proudest moment, but you know what had to happen, so. And I will see you guys later. Stay out of trouble.